Morning. See how we're doing here today. Dryer's been running all night. It was good when I came in the middle of the night. When I was here at 2:55 in the morning, I watched the yellow light go out. We're now down to just 2 green lights on, so that's good. That means it's moving faster than it was yesterday morning when it was still at least 3, or I don't remember if the yellow light was on yesterday morning or not, but drier corn yesterday, so it's been moving a little bit faster. Looks like Phil's been here this morning. He set the moisture up to 14 from 13.7, so that's going to help. Our rate's up around 700. Keep stuff moving through it. Okay, well, we should be able to get started shelling corn earlier today than we did yesterday because we don't have as much in our wet bin. Still 2 lights there. I am going to run up north to our irrigated field. We're going to take a look. I haven't been up there for quite a while. I think since we picked up the pipe, actually. It's been a month. And I'm curious to see what the standability looks like. It should be fine. And we're going to grab some sample ears out of all 3 of the varieties that we've got up there and see what kind of moisture we're looking at. And we're getting closer to going up there, maybe by the end of the week. Looks sort of muddy out here. Hope we don't get stuck. Oh man, this is gonna be some good corn. I can't wait to get up here. This one's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to tell Dad he's gotta let me drive the combine though. I put too much work in here to not get the reward of the combine in this corn. All right, we're gonna stop right here, grab some ears. This is the 109 day. Should be the driest stuff up here. We'll walk out in here a little bit, grab 3 or 4 ears. But, ooh, look at this. Look at that. You guys know what that is? That is tar spot. No doubt about it. That's tar spot. That's a leaf disease, foliar disease that has been coming in. It's been hitting the west half of Michigan really, really hard the last few years. And I haven't seen it in season a whole lot, but it's here now, late. Look at how good this corn is standing though. You can see a half a mile down the road because there ain't a single broken stalk anywhere. Wow, that's awesome. That looks fantastic. Well, there's still water in our center lane. Go figure. All right, we're gonna drive down here a ways until we get into the second variety, pull some ears there, and we'll go far into the field where we've got the 112 day corn. This variety seems taller. Does not have the tar spot as bad. Oh, this one's bad. It doesn't seem quite as prevalent, but it is still out here. Standing really well for the most part here. Again, I'll show you something as I walk back out there, but I'm gonna grab some ears right here. So you'll remember that we had a little bit of replant in this field. One of the things that I've been concerned about with where we replanted is that I dropped the planter in a lot of places that there was still corn. It was just thin. And we ended up with this massive overpopulation. And then we get this, where those late planted stalks were basically a weed. They did not fill out, and the early planted stuff where it was thick enough out-competed it, and we ended up with these real small, spindly, crappy stalks here. There is kind of some ears on some of it, but it's down. They're breaking off, and they're just not very good. So we've kind of got a mess, and then you get these little nubbin of ears. Yeah, I was probably too liberal with the replanting up here, but oh well. This is what it is now. We'll see when we get the combine up here how much that hurts us. All right, here's the 112 day. This one looks to be standing just about as good. There's one broken one, but still can see quite a ways. I guess there's a couple of stalks here and there. Taller, even taller yet. This corn is enormous. Healthy. Don't see the leaf disease up here. Hardly at all. Looks great. Look how open some of these husks are. That's a good thing when these husks are loose like that. It lets air flow through them, which helps them dry out. Very different ear type on this hybrid. Long, skinny ears. I mean, that's impressive. So we'll grab 3 of them out here, and then we'll go back and shell them and test them. You guys, so I'm shelling these ears, right? Hand shelling them. I've got this little hand sheller thing that I got from Golden Harvest a few years ago. And I've never been able to make it work but I haven't really tried that hard. Let me see if I can set you up so I can show you this, but this thing is awesome. Okay. Look at that. Look at it. Once you get down, then it's harder to push the ear through. You fell. Still, that was awesome. Just a few left on the tip and a couple on the butt end. Nice. So another kind of unique thing about this 112-day hybrid, the one that I just finished, you'll notice these cobs are white. It is a white cob hybrid, not red like most of the other varieties that we grow, or just corn in general. So all that red dog that's floating out there and turning everything red, yep, when we shell this corn, it'll be white. Doesn't have any red dog in it. I don't know if you call it white dog then. Maybe. I don't know. All right, well, let's see. Let's see where we're at. 112-day irrigated corn. Oh, that's good. 23.3. Ah, sample 2's 26%, although it didn't feed in. We're going to run that one again. Yeah, still 26%. So that one's a little bit on the wet side. And we will see one more here, see what this 109-day is. I'm surprised that 112 days that much drier. 3 points drier than the 110-day. Well, 27 on that one. So, yeah, that's about what I expected it to be. So the 109 and the 110-day, the two wetter ones, were pulled from the heavier ground, the clay stuff. The 112 was kind of from the sandier spots, so that could be why it was a little bit wetter. But what that tells me is we're going to get there, but we're not in a hurry to get there. So we'll keep pecking away where we're at, and maybe by the end of the week we'll make it up to that field. All right, we are just about ready to go get started shelling, but I want to grease the tracks on this cart. Actually, probably going to grease the whole cart. It's been a while. Okay, I got the whole cart greased. I'm just throwing this auto luber up now. This is where electric grease can come in real handy. Also, Dad is going to go chisel this morning. I think the field that we're going to be working in today, we can make rounds, at least for this morning. So we're just going to park the cart at the end of the field, and I'll fill it. The truck can, Phil can haul. All right, time to go shell corn. Right over there. Okay, well, let's see if this field's any good. Should be about the same as the last one. Mostly all replant. This is that 100-day corn. It was replanted. There is a fair amount up here on the higher ground that was not replanted. It's the original 110 days, so I don't know. We'll see. 23%, 220 on these ends. That's pretty good. Okay, just finishing up the end rows on the back ends here along the trees. And look, we even leave a little path there, 20 foot or so of grass between the trees and the field. Mostly because the landlord likes to hunt out there and they want that left, so we leave it for him. But look at that. She's pretty green back here. These ends were good. Not all of it. There were spots still up there and kind of right where we're at. It's red, purples. Trees didn't kill us too bad on this one. Well, some of this corn's better than I thought it was going to be. We're averaging around 175, but there are spots where it is really good. I'm still working on cleaning up the loss a little bit, tweaking stuff, and I seem to have a few pieces of cob in the tank and some pieces of the stalk, small pieces, so I'm seeing if I can make some adjustments to help that. Hey, can you guys see this? Not now. Look at that. There is a tower over there with a crane way up to the top. That is a massive crane. Maybe. What are the chances it's a Verizon cell phone tower that they're making it work? Or making it into a Verizon cell phone tower? Or making my cell phone work better? That'd be awesome. The problem is, there is a state line between where we sit and where that tower is. And back in the day when cell phones first came out, and they were so worried about roaming charges and people being in your own territory, yeah, in case you didn't know that, for you young people, when cell phones were first a thing back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had a home network area And if you were within that, you were more of like a local telephone call. And if you called somebody outside of that, or you were outside of it, it cost more. And the state line was always the boundary. So we've never had good cell phone coverage here because they always want the towers to be separate. So the Ohio towers cover the Ohio side of the line, the Michigan towers cover the Michigan side of the line, and they can make it drop dead right on it. So every time you're on your cell phone and you cross that state line, you can bet you're going to drop the call. Okay, guys, I went and got my magnetic phone now. I had this one, but it doesn't work very good for setting up in the combine. So I'm still fighting this dirty grain tank sample. I think I've got my loss cleaned up pretty well, but I'm still getting a lot of cob and trash in the grain tank. And they're kind of a balancing act, right? So if I close the sieves down or I turn the fan speed down, I can keep it in the combine and keep it from getting blown right through the back. But then I get dirty grain tank sample. So if I open the concaves, or not the concaves, open the sieves in the chafer, lower the fan speed, you get less loss, dirtier grain tank sample. Close the chafer in the sieve, raise the fan speed, it gets me a cleaner sample, but I start throwing stuff through the back. So I'm having trouble balancing those. There is a procedure that we can do to help give me a better idea of what exactly the combine is doing and how it's performing. So we're going to do it. If you're familiar with John Deere combines and this little settings guide thing, it talks about exactly how to do it right here. This is what John Deere calls a power shutdown. And I don't do these very often. I don't even do one every year. But we're going to do one here and try and see if we can't dial in the combine, or at least get a feel for what's going on in the machine. It's also going to give me a very good opportunity to show you how it works. So I'm going to explain the shutdown procedure, and then we're going to go through it and I'll show it to you as we're doing it. Basically what we want to do is we want to shut the combine down full while we're harvesting. So what's going to happen is we're going to get up here on a fairly flat spot. We're going to idle the combine down. We're going to slow down, shut the thresher off, all at the same time. And what that will do then is leave all of the material where it's at in the combine, so we can go through the machine and look inside of it and see each component and what kind of job that everything is doing. So there's gonna be a lot to it, but that's why I got this phone out, so you can kind of watch me. I gotta adjust my framing a little bit so you can see me better. All right, so we're kind of going downhill now. I've got the steering wheel up out of the way, so I can use two hands over here out of the way. We are gonna thrash the combine just at normal speed. We're going downhill, so I'm gonna wait till we get to kind of the bottom of the dip, and before we start heading back uphill, that's where we're gonna do this. And I'm gonna idle it down while we're moving full speed, and then we're gonna pull this back and shut off the thresher all as quickly as possible here. Some really good corn down here in the bottom, so if you're running full, it's a good time. Okay, you ready? Okay, here we go. Okay, we stopped in a hurry. So you can see we've still got corn in the head. We just shut it down. I mean, just right now, instantly. So the combine is still sitting there full. We're gonna let it run for a minute and cool down, and then we're actually gonna shut it off before we go and start crawling through everything. Yeah. And we're going to start up front. We're going to look at the job the head's doing. We're going to look for kernels on the ground right below the head before anything would have come out of the combine, so we can see whether we're getting any losses there. We're going to go out and look at the stalks in our snapping rolls and whether or not our deck plates are adjusted right. And then we're going to look at the rotor. We're going to look at our sieves. We're going to look at our shoe augers. We're going to look at the stuff in the chopper and the clean grain elevator and see where exactly we're at and how we're doing. Oh, you can see in the grain tank up here, all the grain kind of slid forward because we stopped in a hurry. All right, let's go look at the head. So as we come up front here, we're gonna get up around and go towards the center of it. And you can see here's a leaf that's getting drawn down through it. You can see the stuff on them snapping rolls in there and how it kind of grabs them. There's not really any that are partially down in here. Over maybe right here. Yep, so this one here, it broke off, but hopefully that one would continue to get sucked down, and then when this ear hits on these plates, it snaps off. So we've got loose ears sitting there. That's what we want to see. We've got a couple over here. We're not losing kernels off of them. There's not any butt shelling or anything like that. I don't see any loose kernels sitting here. Also a good thing. You can see the stuff that was getting fed into the feeder house. And this chain is coming around and grabbing it and pulling it in. We got a pretty tight mat of material there. There's a lot of stuff going through. We got a lot of ears here. Some of them with husk, some of them without, but look at that. Clean husk, no shelling. These are nice ears. There, we lost a couple of kernels off of that one. You're gonna have some of that. There's no way to avoid it, really. But for the most part, our head looks like it's doing the job that we want it to. You don't want much trash going into the head. As much as you can, you want just ears. And we've got a lot of grain and ears sitting here. So we're getting a pretty good job there. We do get some tops breaking off and going in with it, but that's pretty minimal. So I'm pretty happy here. Now let's look right there and see if there's any kernels. So you can see all of the rows, and this is all the material that's going down through the head. It's not going through the combine. That's good. You can also see how chewed up it is. You can see that this stalk is completely decimated. That's from our snap and rolls. They're breaking them apart. We need this residue to break down as much as possible over the winter before the spring, and the best way to do that is to break the stalks open. Smash them up so that they can start breaking down, and the microbes in the soil will be able to get inside of them and help break this material down. So that looks good. You will notice there's a husk that came through. There's a cob right there. That probably came from our last pass getting blown out from the chopper. But just looking here, I see almost no kernels. There's one. So that is a good thing. Our corn head is working just like it's supposed to. Yeah, I'm really happy with the job that we're getting from the corn head here. Yeah, there's a couple kernels. 3, 4, 5. But pretty good. All right, now, before we start looking behind the combine, we're going to start looking in the combine and seeing what kind of a job and what things look like inside there. So we start with this side panel, and we've got to take some shields off. I want to take those black covers off, and I want to take the ones up in the front there off. So I'm going to see if I can find somewhere to mount this camera while I take that apart. All right. I'm going to get very dirty doing this, but it's okay. All right, so here are our concaves. The rotor is inside there, and our concaves and our shoe augers. And you can see all the material we've got in here. We stopped it pretty darn full. We like these shoe augers to be even. And there's maybe a little bit more in the center than there is in this outside one, but that's not too bad. I'm not real upset with that. You can't see much in here other than that, you know, we've got some loose grain. There's a cob right here that's still got a little bit of grain on it, but most of the kernels have been threshed off of it. They are broken up already by the time they get to there, which is something I was curious about. When are my cobs breaking up? There's an ear right here, however, that's still got most of its kernels attached, it appears. And here we've got a cob. Clean. Good. All right, now we're going to need some light. Well, let's take these other covers off. Okay, so this is the front half of our rotor. The concaves, that's kind of the threshing portion where you're trying to separate the grain from the cobs, or the soybeans from the pods if we're doing soybeans or whatever. Back here, here's where we got problems. Yeah, I see big problems now. Okay, that helps me. Our concave is way too wide open. We got to close that down big time. So remember this ear that we're seeing here that's not threshed? Yeah, well, we got them back here too. there are still kernels on cobs way back here. That is a problem. There should not be any grain left on the cobs in the back half of this rotor. That means that we're not able to separate it, because what this back half is supposed to do is churn that mat of crop material up so that it shakes all the kernels down. We want all grain down here. You can see we got grain and a lot of chaff and stuff. This here is just a shaker pan that shakes it forward and then it starts moving back again. This auger is our tailings auger. It's bringing stuff from the rethresher across and distributing it across the cleaning shoe. So this tells me a lot. We have got to close our concave, and I've got it within the spec, but it's pretty wide open for, or it's on the wider side of it. Like, I think the spec is 25 to 35, and I've got it at 33 or 34. We're going to have to close that up pretty substantially. Okay, what else? I was just checking some sensors and cleaning some stuff off here. This is the sensor that tells me separator loss. If there's an impact plate here and as kernels hit that, it registers as loss of, the stuff's made it all the way to the back where it's not supposed to be. So, but it hasn't been reading anything, and clearly that is wrong. Don't know why. All right, we're going to raise the chopper and look in the back there and look kind of down underneath, see what we find down there. Okay. All right, now let's look up in here. You can see we've got a lot of material, and we still got unthreshed kernels. That's no bueno. Bad deal. Okay, we're gonna fix that. So anything that comes out of the back of the rotor is coming out of this discharge beater. That's what this stuff is here. And basically, we don't want to see stuff like this because we ain't getting those kernels. So we're way out of adjustment. We got to close that up big time. All right, well, that helps me out a lot. So that's why there's more trash right here in the back, is because it's stuff coming out of there. You can see up front, most of it has fallen through. There's really not that much there. In fact, we may be able to close that up a little bit, because I think now I'm thinking all of our loss is separator loss and not actually shoe loss like I thought it was. You can see there's a big mat of material up there right behind those augers, but not near as much once it starts shaking through the back. And basically what happens here, it's a little bit hard to see, but this thing shakes. There's a fan underneath it that blows air up through it, and the grain is heavy, so it falls down through. There's another one underneath. That's the sieve. This top one we call the chafer. Bottom one is the sieve. The one up front there is kind of a pre-cleaner. And anything that falls down through both of them ends up in our clean grain tank. Anything that comes over or through the top one, but underneath the bottom one, or I'm sorry, let me start over, focus here. Anything that goes through the chafer, but over the sieve, the second one down there, comes to the back down here, and it goes down through, and then it gets returned through our tailings. So we're going to go and look at that as well. Man, I'm not happy about all this corn left on these cobs. That is not good. Not good at all. Okay. These sensors right here are the impact sensors for the shoe loss. If kernels are falling down through there, it hits that plate and sends a signal to the computer to tell it, hey, something's coming out the back that shouldn't be. So, okay. Well, we're learning here. That's good. That's why we did this. Not sure we'll be able to see much back here, but this is the straw chopper. There is a little bit of material in there, as there should be. We pretty much know what's going in there, and it's not good. All right, so we're going to open up this door. This will tell us what's getting returned through our tailings. And you can see there it's mostly cobs, tops of cobs that are broken apart. I see very little actual corn and grain. That's a good thing. Okay. So there's not much going over the top of that. All right, good to know. this one here is our clean grain elevator auger. We should get corn, clean corn. Quite a bit of it. All right, we don't need to open that. I'm not gonna be able to get it closed now. All right, but that's a pretty good sample. Nice, good, clean corn. We just got to get these bits of cobs cleaned up a little bit. I'm less concerned about the sample than I am the loss right now. All right, so now we know what's going through the combine. We also can see clearly here what's coming out the back of the combine. And this is not allowed. Not ever. That's just terrible. So we'll look here, but I pretty much already know what we're going to find. More kernels than we should. And like I've said, you always kind of check behind in the middle because it's worse there. And yeah, so that was a pretty crappy cob to begin with, but you can see we've got kernels. It doesn't look as bad here as it does coming out the back of the combine, actually. Let's look over here on the edge, see if we're throwing some. A little bit. There's a couple. You can see there's some bits of cobs out there, so we're throwing it past, which is where that cob under the front came from. Yeah, all right. Clean up that by closing the rotor down, and we should fix a lot of our problems. Now, we got to put everything back. We got to lower our chopper and put our covers back on over the rotor. So the ideal spacing from this rotor to the threshing elements in there is the width of a cob, or the thickness of a cob. And they tell me with these aftermarket concaves that we run that you can run it a little bit wider. So that's why I was kind of pushing it towards the wider side, but clearly we overdid it, went way too much. Okay, so we know what needs to be done. Now we got to make some adjustments. Start our combine back up here. And we're gonna lift the head up and back up. Phil's back already, which I had been having the grain cart full or ready for him to just load, so he's saw me sitting here. He's worried about me. Thought we fell in a hole or something. But anyway, we need to make some adjustments to our concave clearance after the computer warms up. But the reason I was opening it, like I said, because they told me those concaves you could run them more open, and I'm getting so many pieces of cob in here. I thought it's because I had it closed too much. It was grinding it up, but must be our cobs are just soft from this June planted corn, and that's what the problem is. All right, so I'm actually going to open the concave all the way just to start it back up, because we're starting it hard under very stressful conditions with already having grain and material in it. So I'm going to open it up, give it as much clearance as possible, and we're going to start it up, let it clean out, and then we'll close it back down. All right, here we go. Hopefully it goes all right. Okay, good deal. Clean, yeah, threshing to the point. Okay, so now we hit this button, and we're gonna roll that back to about 27. I had it on 34. We'll go to 27 and see how that does. Give it a minute to adjust, and we'll start our corn head up, let that clean out. We'll keep going, we'll unload, and then we'll do another round, check what our grain quality looks like and all that stuff, and adjust. Probably won't do another power shutdown because I'll be able to tell, or at least I know where my losses are coming from. It's not coming off the chafer and the sieve, so I can probably even close them up a little bit and still be okay. All right, here we go. Whoa, get back on my auto steer line. There we go. Okay, well, try that. Okay, well, we'll see when we get our grain tank filled up here a little bit whether our sample's much better or not. I think it's going to make a big difference for us. I've tightened the concave. I set our chafer down, which 24 is too wide anyway. It's supposed to be like 15 to 20 is the range, so I've still got it sort of wide. We may close it up a little bit more, but anyway, we'll see. There's some really good corn down in this low ground. We kind of come down and there's the big area, all of that you can see in front of me. we get a crop there about 1 out of 4 years because it usually all drowns out. Well, this was the year, and it's all replant because the first planted stuff all drowned it out, but the replant made it, and it's going to be really good corn down there. I mean, yeah, really good corn. And it's fairly dry. That's even better. Phil's here emptying the grain cart, loading the truck. I can't dump into him while he's actively unloading because it screws up the record keeping. That grain cart has that scale in it that we use for keeping track of pounds and bushels off of each field. And if I empty into it while it's unloading, it screws it up. Basically, it records how much weight is offloaded every time you start the PTO up. So if I add more while it's offloading, then it can't track it. So we'll wait for him to finish, and then we'll empty what we got, and he'll have a full truckload and can head back to the farm and empty again. Also, it's getting a little misty out, hazy, I guess. It's not really, nothing's really wet yet, just you can see it in the distance there where it's sort of misty. Well, my grain tank sample is not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. I'm really happy with that. And my loss levels are better too. I've been checking and watching that. Our light misty rain has picked up a little bit. The corn head snouts are wet. I get drops on the window occasionally. But we've only got 2 rounds left in this field, so we are going to finish that, and then we'll see what we want to do from there. All right, last pass in this field. Phil just got back, so it'll actually be just about right. We'll have a truckload, and there won't be anything or much left on the grain cart. So that field right over there is also ours, and the plan was to jump over there and open it up and see what kind of moisture it is. You can see the low ground there. We still had a drowned out spot. Didn't all make it through that. Even the replant corn drowned it out, but happens. Anyway, I got to talk to Phil, see what he wants to do. It is raining a little bit. It's not so bad that we can't shell yet. I need to look at the radar as well and see if there's more coming or not. But it'd be nice to be able to get half of that field or so done tonight. There's 78 acres in that one, so got about 33 done in this field. 173, pretty good corn. All right, well, we're getting this field opened up here. Corn's wet. We're back into really wet stuff. 29 field average, right here it's 25. I wanted to make a pass through the middle here to see how this averages. Look at this coon damage way out here. Anyway, and it's still drizzly, raining, and I don't know. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to go. So we'll do what we can here, I guess. Well, the mud's starting to stick to the tracks on the cart and the tires. Still got raindrops on my windshield, which you probably can't see, but they're there. I don't know. I don't know. All right, well, I got a few short rows in front of this wet hole here. You may have remembered a video when I mowed that this summer. There was a bunch of willow trees over there we mowed down, and yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this up. You can see where we're working, just kind of in the front there, and then we're gonna call it because it's still raining. Got raindrops on the windshield. It's starting to get sticky, and this corn is just so wet anyway. It's not worth being out here and pushing it in the rain. So I'll have enough to fill the grain cart, which will fill the truck. So as soon as Phil comes back, I'll just ride back with him to the farm, and we'll leave the equipment set. See, hopefully we don't get a bunch of rain today, and we can come back out here tomorrow. Maybe later tonight if the rain stops and it soaks in for a little bit. I think it's gonna be drizzly like this all day. Sticky. All right, I'm gonna call it. It's about 4:30, so we did fairly good today. We did about 11 and a half acres in this field and 33 in that other one. So what's that? 40, 44, 45 acres today. He must be feeling better. He just walked home a half a mile. Looks like we got 3 lights on our wet bin, and things are still going, but it's wet corn going into there, so it's going to be slow. But we don't have to let it run all night tonight, since it'll have a few hours to catch up here tonight. We'll shut it down, start it back up tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have a good day tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see. Actually, we might let it run tonight. I don't know yet. Look at that. Load number 100. Got guys remember that load of propane we got in a few days ago? Yeah, it's almost gone. Time for another one. They're coming tomorrow night. You think we'll make it till tomorrow night? I'm not so sure, but we're gonna find out. All right, guys, I took a little while to work on some seed treatment order stuff. It's ridiculous, but I have to have my seed treatment ordered by the end of October in order to get the early order discounts. I won't use any of this stuff until March at the earliest, but we got to get it ordered now and paid for in the next month or two to get the right. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm working on figuring that out. The hard part is I don't know how much seed I'm going to sell yet. I don't know how much seed the guys that I treat for are going to sell yet, so I don't know how much treatment that I need, but we'll get it figured out and go from there. So anyway, I'm going home. It's fairly early yet, but we're done here. We are going to let the dryer keep running. There are still 3 lights lit up on that wet bin there. So I will be back in the middle of the night to check on it. It may be getting to the point where it's about empty then, and we may shut it down, but we'll see. Tomorrow looks like a nice day weather-wise. It's supposed to be sunny, mid-50s, so we should be able to get back in the fields and shell corn tomorrow and hopefully have a big day. Just kind of depends on how wet the corn is, but even if our wet bin is empty and we get the dryer running as soon as we can and start shelling in the morning, we should be able to knock out 80 acres pretty easily, and we'll see. We're just fighting this wet corn. I wish we could find some dry corn somewhere. Doesn't look like that's going to happen because we just don't have any. We don't have any dry corn anywhere. So we're going to fight that the rest of the fall, but it is what it is. We aren't going to let it sit there. We're going to go and get it and run it through our dryer, and it's just going to make things slow. But anyway, have a great night, everybody. Hit that like and subscribe buttons for me, please. Questions and comments, leave them down below, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.